I've just never outgrown my love for toys as a young kid. I loved them as a young kid, and I just never outgrew it. And then one day I decided, I was in a career I was kind of unhappy with, and I decided, what do I do to change this? And I decided, I have some artistic ability. Why don't I try to see how far I can go with designing toys for a living, and just give it a shot. And luckily I did, and I was accepted into a toy design program at FIT in New York City, and graduated 2003, and worked some jobs with some smaller toy licensing firms in Chicago. And I was in San Diego Comic-Con in 2008, and in the Mattel booth they had a help wanted sign for a toy designer who had an encyclopedic knowledge of WWE, and I realized that I was that person. So I applied for the position, and then after some interviews, I got the job about 2 months later. And I've been there 10 years now, and I've worked on a lot of toys. It's generally the same. It used to be around like 15 months. We've gotten it down to 12. We're trying to get it down even lower. Just because the gap between when something appears on TV and when it appears on shelf is something we want to condense. Just so when people get excited about seeing something on TV, we want that excitement to be, sort of more on top of their mind when the actual figure comes out, as opposed to something like, I was excited for that a year ago. A little bit, just a small snips off here, like instead of maybe, the original turnover time for an outfit, maybe in the past, let's just say it was 5 weeks, if we can cut it down to 3, if we can cut down the sculpting time from like 2 weeks to 1 week. Yeah. Just various, various variables like that. And those are not real numbers I threw up, and I'm just saying as a baseline. As a baseline, if we chop off a week here, if we snip off a few days here, can we save in entirety, can we save 2 months? Can we save 4 months? I'm usually working around like 30 to 40 figures at once, just because there's various series I'm working on. Like I'll be wrapping up one series, just giving final production, final say-so on that, and then maybe I'm on the first review of another series, and then I'm on a deco turnover of another series, the sculpt turnover on one series, and then maybe even like the initial planning stages, like populating the talent in the next series. So it's all sort of like, it's gotten to the point with me where it's like it all runs together, and sometimes I don't even know like what series the figures I'm working on are in, because there's just so many the characters are so many top of mind all at once. The TV time is obviously one of the most, if not the most important. If a character's on TV often in main events, obviously there's going to be a strong demand for that character. If someone changes their outfits a lot, so we can get a lot of variety on that character, that also influences things. If we haven't done a character in a while, if we've never done a character, and that character shows up, and maybe they're not on TV all the time, but when they were on TV at a certain point, they did something significant, which sort of justifies, like, hey, we've never done this guy, and this happened, and you can recreate this. Like, because in particular, the Kurt Hawkins Elite. Like, we wanted to do Kurt Hawkins for a while. He's a big action figure collector, but his TV time was a little like touch and go. But there was a few weeks where like he kept getting the crap knocked out of him by Braun Strowman, and at one point he put him through a wall. Okay. So it's like, and we had the wall already tooled up for another figure. It's like, you know what? If we have a Kurt Hawkins that you can put through a wall, like suddenly that's the reason that's the reason to do only Kurt Hawkins. I personally think the balance is about right. I think maybe we could do slightly more. Okay. Elites, there's, because I want to try to, there are, every year there's certain ones that after you've done the run, there's still like those few that still haven't gotten an elite figure yet. And, you hear it from the fans, like, why haven't you gotten to this person, why haven't you gotten to this person? We want to get to everyone, and we want it to make sense too. We don't want to put out like sort of like a catch-up wave of like, here's all the characters that never got one. Mm-hmm. But then, you might be, leaving out people that we've already done before, but might be more top of mind on the people that are buying them. So it's I always tend to argue for more SKUs so you can have more variety, but again, you don't want to make it hard for the collectors to keep up, like overproduce, make too much, and then people just go like, I can't keep up, I'm out. Like, that's the worst. That is something we're always trying to improve on. I mean, sometimes overproduction on any one wave, it's never worked out in our favor, really. When that happens, you know, it's detrimental. We try to keep tabs on it. We try to avoid that happening, and it's also up to the factories, because our stuff is produced in factories, and sometimes they need to have a certain amount made to make, you know, to make them to get the production runs up and running. You know, because if you're set up a production line to make like 25 figures, that's a big spend on the factory's resources to get very little in return. So we need to be aware of factors like that as well. The one that I remember most recently was the Sheamus and Cesaro figures from the bar in the suits. It wasn't until like they were basically done that they really should both have the sunglasses, because they had the sunglasses with the bright lights in the entrance. So that's one instance where, looking back, I mean, we were able to get the sunglasses included on the Cesaro at the last minute, but because it had it on the package, we're like, we have to match the package at least. Yes. But with the Sheamus, it's kind of like, it doesn't match the package, it's hard to justify. Yes, yeah, Rey Mysterio will be in our line. That one's a little trickier. Until we get news from WWE, there's no, you know, Hogan's, you know, nothing's changed. They are currently not under a deal. I figured that out. I have to ask when I get back, because there's been a lot of requests for Trent Seven in particular at this show, both on his own and as a 2-pack with Mustache Mountain, you know, the updated Tyler Bate with maybe like a little scruffier face. Cool. So it is something that I want to go back and see what the status is on him in particular. Yeah, we had that in the first 4 years. We had Ultimate Warrior rights were through Warrior himself, and we did the very small figure runs. And then when he went into the Hall of Fame, he then was under a WWE merchandise deal, you know, and then unfortunately passed away like almost immediately after that. So that's, you know, kind of very odd circumstance and unfortunate circumstances. But we have now, we just have the rights through WWE to produce Ultimate Warrior. It's possible. It just depends on when we get back to doing a Warrior from the time period where he held that belt. Yeah, I mean, obviously we are going to do the WrestleMania version of Ronda Rousey. It's just when trying to get Ronda to market as quickly as possible. Doing the WrestleMania outfit is not something we could do with existing parts. Whereas the basic we were able to do with just the new head, and then the Elite we were able to tool up the head and the jacket torso and the arms. So it's just a matter of having the time to develop all the new parts. When the time we were developing the Elite 65 Ronda, she had yet to wrestle, so we didn't know what her wrestling gear was going to look like. So we couldn't, you know, develop new and unique tools based off of something that hadn't happened. You know, we're always looking at what other companies, you know, are doing and what of the features that they have resonate with our consumers. And if, you know, increased articulation is something, especially now with the amount of people that pose their stuff and, you know, post it on Instagram, you know, and some of the stuff is like the posing is just really dramatic, and then with added articulation you can even do more dramatic poses. That's something we're always trying to, like, you know, what's next? How do we keep up? How do we, you know, lead the field? So it is something that we are considering. Yeah, that would severely cut into the cost of the figures because we want to have the basic line is meant to hit a certain, you know, $10 price point in the U.S. So because that's what the retailers want to sell it as. If we added the sound, we would have to severely cut back on other portions, which is why when we sell the figures with the sound, it's at a little bit more of we have to charge a little bit more for it. So there's a very good chance. I was actually at that show. 3 years ago. I was in London, and, you know, just coincidentally, around the time they had that show, and I was able to get a ticket to the show, and I love the show, and I remember that outfit very distinctly. When we were doing Elite Finn Balor Demon outfits, it just, in terms of like the release schedule, that one didn't fit into, you know, the next release schedule, so it kind of got, you know, left aside. But it is something that still obviously resonates with people because people are always asking for it. So it is something, you know, if people ask for it like long enough, you know, chances are, you know, there's a demand for it. We want to meet that demand. You know, this year a lot of like the flashbacks have been, you know, in their own, you know, in the US, our Walmart series was sort of like the home for flashbacks this year. A lot of it is also, in terms of like who's available from WWE, we've kind of gone through a lot of the major names that are available to us. So, you know, we could do another, you know, an older version of a character you already have, or we can do, a character we haven't done yet on the main roster. And right now we're sort of, until we get, we do ask WWE constantly to sign more legends just so we can have them available for action figures. But it's up to them to sign them, and then a lot of what their decision isn't based solely on us using it one time in an action figure line. So there is a reason why it seems to be a little, lesser, especially with going into 2020. But we know there are collectors that love the flashbacks. We love them. It's just making sure that we're not making too much or too little of them. And it's a balance. It's kind of sometimes a harder balance to maintain, but we do try to maintain it. Accessory packs for us is always tricky just because it takes time and development away from our more core business, which is the figures. So that's time and money and tooling that we kind of rather have available for the figures. So a dedicated accessory pack for the Elite Scale Ring is probably not likely from Mattel, in the immediate future. Things could change, at any point. If there's a great enough demand from a retailer, either online or brick and mortar that justifies it, we'll reconsider. But it's not something internally that has a lot of momentum, as an internal idea to do it. So it's like a series of 4, like 3 of them will come with ring aprons, and then another
one with the ring post.
That's actually that's a creative solve for that. It might just have to be 4 aprons that go, but yeah, it's honestly, it's ideas like that are something that we can consider.
Okay.
It's nothing like that is ruled out, but it's just in terms of being top of mind internally. It's something that is probably more likely to be acted upon if there's repeated demand for it. Yeah, I think. If I'm being honest, not likely, at least in the immediate future. There's just not a lot of momentum for it internally, again. But, nothing's ruled out. I know there are some stuff under consideration for 2020 that would have been, an absolute no for 2019, so who knows. So this is the Page figure that we debuted, world premiere here at Wrestling Shop Live. It's a premiere that I saved specifically for a UK reveal for obvious reasons. This figure will be available in U.S. retail and Walgreens, and will be made available to the international retailers on open order. So I'm really happy with this figure. It's a brand new head sculpt on Page. The jacket is also brand new, based off of like that studded hoodie. So one of the great things about this Page is that it's completely up to date. She's gotten some new body art recently, and the tattoos on the hands, and then also even the tattoo on the back of the neck. So this is, as the characters, their appearance changes, they add body art, they change their outfit. We're constantly keeping up with those changes. So this is a very up-to-date figure. It includes the removable jacket with the hood. The reaction to this weekend has been overwhelming. People seem to really like it. I'm happy with it, and I'm glad we were able to debut it here in the UK. Another figure making its official debut in plastic is the Pete Dunne. We showed a prelim image of this at San Diego Comic-Con. This is the first time we're showing the figure for real. It's a very accurate depiction of the Bruiserweight, including the tattoo on the knee, his trademark sneer, which is very exaggerated. I thought maybe it was too exaggerated at first, but then I went back and checked the reference, and he is able to curl his lip higher than any human being I've ever seen. So, and it includes this awesome, furry jacket. So another figure I am very happy to show in public for the first time here at Wrestling Shop Live in the UK. For fans of our retro line, a sneak preview of one of our latest upcoming figures. It's Samoa Joe. Looking appropriately mean and intimidating with the. I think this is the upcoming Samoa Joe figure. Include the shorts, the right-handed destruction T-shirt, and an appropriately mean sneer. So this will be available in 2019 from across all retailers. Once again, I'm Bill Miekina, and thank you for having me here at Wrestling Shop Live. It's been a real treat to meet all the fans from the UK who buy and support our lines, and really these figures mean a lot to them. It means a lot that these figures mean a lot to you. So thank you for having me, and thank you for supporting our line.